What's up, guys? Today we're gonna be looking very close. What was that? Oh no, Neil, but Carl finally sent you goggles.
Is this heaven?
Let's go straight to the point. These are new HDZero BoxPro Plus goggles. $349.9999 and 9 in period dollars. And there is also BoxPro without Plus goggles for $299.999, $300. Let's round it up. For the rest of the video, rounding up. And there is certainly a universe where I would say that this is cheap. It's just not this one. The Plus goggles have a Wi-Fi module built in for streaming to your phone or PC, and ExpressLRS backpack, which is super cool if you're using ExpressLRS. Thus, the price difference. The rest of the features are identical. You can see they're like actually identical. But with a high price, not everything is so clear-cut here, because some might say that this is even a step forward from the normal HDZero goggles. Let's go through the features, of course, beatching, and a quick giveaway of these goggles, sponsored by HDZero. Not exactly these, like another ones. But before we start, let me call to my box goggles expert. Oh, he's here already.
Here we go. Best thing about having Box goggles is you don't need to carry a backpack anymore. I got everything I need in here. Got my charger. I got my drone. I got my radio. Another box goggles. And in case of emergency, some toilet paper. Box goggles.
As always, use the content menu under this video. Good things, bad things, beatching, range check, mic check, all the stuff is somewhere there. This video is not about what is HDZero, and it is not about comparing HDZero versus DJI versus analog versus... what's the name of that? Is it even a thing? Walksnail. Everyone knows that if you want the lowest possible latency between your camera and your eyes, if you want to race at the big multi-GP events, and if you want better picture than analog, then HDZero with 90 frames per second camera is pretty much your only option. And these classic HDZero goggles are $600. And you probably want to buy a separate analog receiver that you plug in here, a separate module with Wi-Fi and backpack, and a good patches. Also, you have to buy them. So that's like $750 total. Well, HDZero says no more. They want to see more people enjoying FPV, and they're releasing these box goggles. Box goggles are FPV goggles with only one screen for both eyes, and that's how they're able to save some cost. This is, for example, the regular goggles, and you can see they have two screens and two optics, which makes it way more expensive. But of course, in general, this is more comfortable for your eyes. And with the regular goggles, you can have nice features like focus adjustments individually for each eye. So that's a trade-off of the box goggles. One screen and cheaper optics.
Another good thing about box goggles is you can totally use them for self-defense. Ah! You hit me, bitch!
To make it clear, HDZero did send me these goggles, but they don't control this video and they didn't even see it. At least that's what I say. The worst case scenario, I guess Carl knows where I live. The main parameter of any FPV goggles is not the latency, is the boot up time. But before we scientifically measure that, let me quickly go through the features that I really like and enjoy with these goggles. They're actually relatively small. They're comfortable to wear, at least on my ugly face, even with this weird string from the panties. At least I don't have any light leaks, everything is pretty tight. They're even comfortable to wear like that on your forehead, unlike DJI goggles with this weird thing, and when you wear it like this, your forehead is touching the optics. Very exciting. BoxPro goggles, plus or minus version. They have analog receiver built in. It means that out of the box of the box goggles, you can use them with analog and with HDZero. For HDZero, they have 4 antennas total, 2 patches built in, and then 2 antennas that you can replace. Unfortunately for analog, they use only 1 antenna in the top, so it's not diversity. But they use some magic for these analog receivers so that analog picture looks highly competitive. And somehow they don't have analog problems of these goggles. If you remember, with the classic HDZero goggles working with analog, you might have these weird horizontal black lines when you have a weak signal. Not with all analog receivers, but that was a problem, and I think it's still not solved with the classic HDZero goggles, but somehow they solved it for the box goggles. This is how weak analog signal looks on the BoxPro goggles now. You can see it just goes to snow, even without much rolling, no violent black lines. I think that's good. As for analog picture quality in comparison with Orca, for example, I am not 100% sure. So this is the same analog flight, same frame. On the left is HDZero Box goggles, on the right is Orca with rapid fire. And you can see with the BoxPro goggles, there are some occasional artifacts, and they're not in the Orca goggles, but they're pretty rare and they're not noticeable as you fly. You see, it looks actually pretty good. But I didn't notice any OSD jumping artifacts that, for example, Orca has. Look at that, for example. This is Orca, and you can see OSD jumps up and down a little bit sometimes. And this is HDZero. Rock solid. Now let's compare the analog signal sensitivity, 25 milliwatts output power, Orca with rapid fire with 2 fence antennas versus HDZero BoxPro goggles with these, I don't even know how to call this antenna. And remember that these goggles only using one antenna for analog. So left side is HDZero single antenna. You can see this looks everything good. Still good, 25 milliwatts. And we see a lot more breakup on the left side for HDZero, but this is only one antenna and this is a stock antenna. Now let's upgrade this antenna to something like this. And I actually don't know which one is used, so I replaced both. Let's see, I think this is pretty interesting. So here everything is good, 25 milliwatts, HDZero on the left side with upgraded antenna, still single antenna. And this looks way better. And I think now it's very comparable with rapid fire. With only one receiver without diversity, that's impressive. But who would have thought the main focus of HDZero goggles is HDZero video system?
No freaking way.
And these quote-unquote cheap box goggles have full support of this system with 90 frames per second and with the lowest possible latency. It means you can be just as competitive as with these expensive goggles for more than double times less money. Is it the right way to say? It is now. So now let's compare the video reception of HDZero versus HDZero. So left side is HDZero BoxPro with the stock antennas and right side is HDZero Classic goggles with the expensive antennas flying behind the canopies. And I think it's very comparable without splitting the hairs. That's comparable. So of course it needs more testing, but I think that these BoxPro goggles with these stock antennas are just fine for racing with analog and with HDZero. Of course we might discover more problems like with multipathing at big events or something like this, but only time will tell. This is a solid start at least. And if you want a little bit longer range, you can always upgrade these antennas. The screen of these goggles deserves a separate video. First of all, it's 100 frames per second, which is kind of wild for box goggles. I think it's kind of a Carl's magic in action. And the refresh rate is adopting depending on which HDZero mode you're flying, 90 frames per second or 60 FPS, so that it doesn't look choppy. It is LCD display, not OLED, so it does add a little bit of latency, like half millisecond, but you can see HDZero is always on top of latency game. For example, with DJI 04 Pro race mode, you better don't even compare. I personally did not check these numbers, but let's all trust Carl. Or Ryan.
No.
Also, despite its LCD screen, it's super bright. I don't even notice that I'm looking at the screen through some reflective lenses and mirrors. And if you check user manual, they say it's 1800 nits, which I don't know these units, but apparently it can burn your butthole through your face. And of course, you can adjust this brightness, but a real man set it to max. By the way, I highly recommend everyone to read through this very detailed user manual. There are a lot of things here and a lot of questions answered, and I should have read it before I asked all of them to Ryan. Sorry, Ryan. Before we proceed with beatching, some of the other good things that are less important, at least to me. There is 100 frames per second HDMI input, I guess for what's the thing? Walksnail. HDMI output. DJI guys are only dreaming about that, and it can give you both HDZero output and analog output. This is pretty cool, and you can also live stream from these goggles to your phone or to your PC if you have BoxPro Plus. There is AV in, power switch, and there is a built-in head tracker with a head tracker output port, or you can connect your head tracker with a radio with ExpressLRS backpack if you have a Plus version. So it will be like a wireless ExpressLRS head tracker. There are little cool things like like if you remove these inserts, then you can use it with your prescription glasses, I guess depending on the size of your glasses. Or you can buy lens inserts because these goggles don't have built-in optical adjustments. And there is a built-in microphone to record your beautiful voice on top of your gorgeous DVRs. And let's find out if this microphone is better than this microphone. This is HDZero Classic Goggles internal microphone. Fans are at the middle level. Your shit pilot. This is HDZero Box Goggles internal microphone. Fans are at the middle level. Your shit pilot. And you can see none of them are sounding too great, mainly because of the fans. It's like microphone and the fans are inside of the same box and you can hear that. Luckily, there's a cheap solution, a little external microphone that you can just plug in here, not in the head tracker. You can plug here and set in the setting the line in. I used something like this, Amazon link in the description, and there are even more fancy options if you are a sound nerd. This is HDZero Box Goggles external microphone. Fans are at the medium level. Your shit pilot. Speaking about the fans, classic goggles are very loud and these are quite quieter. Classic goggles. Box goggles. Now, the main thing, that's what we're here for. It's a nice day out there. Let's see how long it takes to boot up these goggles. Let's see. The screen. Alright, that wasn't actually too bad. What the fuck? Jokes aside, this is a section for Amari. It's 13 seconds to boot to the menu without SD card plugged in. 20 seconds to boot to the menu with SD card. 20 seconds to boot to HDZero receiver mode without SD card. 23 seconds to boot to HDZero receiver mode with SD card. But a full 47 seconds before you can record anything on SD card, so when SD card is ready.
I have never seen that in my entire life.
I bet there are not exact numbers. Depending on your SD card size and on your luck, you might have, I don't know, plus minus something. I'm gonna be extremely diplomatic about these numbers. In fact, I even hired a lawyer to speak about them.
From this day forward, this shall be declared garbage.
Especially if you wait someone on the line who is like trying to plug in his goggles. Or especially at MultiGP Mayhem race when you need to fly a sub for your team right now, but you realize that your goggles are unplugged. So my advice, use smaller SD cards than I did and pre-plug your goggles. From the day before. I guess that's nothing new, similar stuff with the classic goggles. But you can use a new fancy sleep mode that you can set up on, for example, double click of this button in the menu, and then it doesn't drain your battery as much and very fast to wake them up. And that's how we came to a little bit of beatching section. With the screen, I'm actually very satisfied. It takes some time to get used to. At first, you might feel like you're looking at your nose when you're in the goggles, but I promise you're not. Just takes a few batteries to get used to a single screen, especially if you're coming from the double screen. The screen is not super high resolution, 720p, but you don't really see the pixels like at all. And as far as I understand, HDZero using some super fancy algorithm to downscale the image if your input image is bigger than that. The battery life, kinda the same poor battery life as with the classic HDZero goggles. Less than 2 hours with HDZero and with these 2300 mAh 3S battery, at least according to the user guide. Luckily, these goggles don't suffer from the internal battery that you cannot replace, like these DJI goggles for example. The more I use these goggles, the more I hate them. Here, you just plug any battery from 2 to 6S and you're good to go. Unfortunately, you have to be careful with a 6S battery, so it has to be maximum 4.2 volts per cell, no 4.25, no. And if you plug it in 6S, you need to make sure that your switch is in off position to avoid some spikes and burning your goggles.
I've done it. I'm guilty. I'll probably do it again.
So that's a minor inconvenience. Another minor inconvenience is that if you're recording your DVR in MP4 format and you unplug your goggles without stopping the DVR, then the file will be corrupted and the goggles will not try to restore it. You can try to restore it manually with some other software, but that's why they recommend to use .ts format for the files. But that format is less comfortable to edit. You gotta convert it anyways. Another weird thing that the plug is at the bottom of the goggles, but they ship it with a 90 degrees cable that I will break for sure eventually unless I route the wire like through here, but then it's kind of weirdly hanging at your ears. Very annoying thing to me is that the goggles cable for some weird reason does not fit into TS100 soldering iron, but soldering iron cable does fit into the goggles. I don't know how it works. I'd love to have it fixed or at least some answers. In case you didn't know, TS100 and copies is the most popular soldering iron in drone racing and probably in freestyle. And it'd be very cool if we could use the same cable. Maybe these guys need to change the plug, I don't know, just throwing it up there. Also, if you're using these goggles with analog and you're recording DVRs, then they will sound like that. That's because these goggles can record the microphone from your drone if you have a microphone on your VTX. But my VTXs don't have microphones and this is just a white noise. Hopefully it's just a software fix in the goggles and at least Ryan agrees with me. Another thing I would love to have in these goggles, and probably eventually we will have it, is the volume recording level adjustments. For example, this external microphone is recording very quiet, and if you bump up the level in the editing software, it actually sounds pretty good. So I would love to have that setting in the goggles. I feel pretty bad that I'm sitting and bitching at the open source software that I can just go ahead and fix myself within like a couple of years. On the other hand, all these are really minor inconveniences. Don't stress yourself over them like at all. I am very excited about these goggles. Maybe we will see more people enjoying FPV. Racing, freestyle, planes, tiny whoops. For tiny whoops, that would be actually good. Analog and digital with 100 frames per second screen. This is a very high performance shit, a good shit. That's why they called it even BoxPro, because you put them on and you're a pro pilot right away. Cole promised you.
No! So this is Mr. Neil, expert in everything, and he's very excited to tell you all the bullet points about these box goggles. Goggles.
Box goggles, Gox boggles. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty impressed with them. We just got done flying 10 packs or so on the track. They feel really comfortable in my face. In fact, when we changed goggles, I kind of was feeling less comfortable with the classic Pro goggles than I was with the new BoxPro goggles. So, I enjoyed the way the picture looked inside of it. Like, it's a nice big screen in there. I didn't notice my eyes moving around inside there. I mean, maybe they were, but it wasn't like I felt like I was searching around inside there. Like I could just see the screen properly. They're not really much larger if you really look at them. Like they're a little more narrow.
Like smaller
yeah,
here, but larger here.
Yeah, so similar weight. In fact, these may even be lighter. They don't feel heavy on my face at all. So I'm pretty impressed. Like that's pretty awesome. And I know that, like, yeah, we were joking with the giant goggles earlier for fun, but like this is not a crazy form factor. When I heard that they made box goggles, I was like, oh, come on, because I was thinking of like 2017 giant goggles. But
Neil likes everything big.
Yeah, I do. It's, you know, but yeah, I'm pretty impressed by them for sure, especially at this price point. Like, that's pretty awesome.
Will you proudly wear them for the next, until Carl sends you the next goggles?
Yeah, that's what I'll be wearing. Yeah.
And I guess I won't be wearing them because you took them from me. And this is the goggles, and this is how beautiful picture looks like. Like that. See, HDZero picture. No interference. Emergency video.
Okay, so super exciting. Carl and HDZero have decided to give away a pair of these goggles to you, a lucky winner on our channel, well, Yvonne's channel. And in order to win, you got to comment Gox Boggles down below, and then we're going to randomly pick from all of the people that commented Gox Boggles.
If shipping to your place is possible.
Right, yeah, no shipping to Antarctica.
Yeah.
Sorry, so...
And this is my channel.
Yeah, it's Yvonne's channel. It's Yvonne's channel.
Yeah, so comment
Gox Boggles.
Gox Boggles.
Yeah, Gox Boggles, and maybe you'll win yourself a pair of these new Gox Boggles.
A random generator. Who's gonna be our random generator?
Google random generator. Yeah, that'll do. Nice.
I guess I don't have to say it, but I will, that all of that was just my and Neil's personal opinion. If you like it, please like and subscribe to this channel, and even if you don't, still like and subscribe. And check my Patreon, the link in the description, because I cannot eat these goggles. I wish I could though, they kinda look tasty. Alright, that's gonna do it. See you in the next video, if I'm not lazy.
Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan.
Touch me.